Hey everyone, this is me, the Ended Viking, and this is Highlander, the Duel. Now, Highlander has had several movies, though we kind of try to pretend that none of them exist other than the first one. And obviously it had a very successful TV show as well. I never really got into that. I had some friends who really liked it, but I don't know, just wasn't for me, if you will. But I do remember, like, the very first time I ever saw Highlander, the movie, and I was, like, watching it in a buddy's basement, and, like, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I mean, it was, like, something that was totally out there. And I remember when it came out, and we were watching that, I remember saying, it's like, this has got to be based on, like, a book or something, right? Like, somebody wrote a story or, like, you know, whatever, short story or something like that. And when the fact that it wasn't, and it was just kind of like some, like, original idea, you know, these immortals that walk the earth trying to, you know, cut each other's heads off. It was just, like, with, you know, fancy, cool swords and everything like that. I remember saying, it's just, wow, you know, being blown away. So, you know, I gotta think that, I think there was other games that were based on this IP. I can't tell you. I mean, maybe there was. I suppose I could have done a little research to find out. But, you know, this was one that kind of took me by surprise. The creators sent me this to see what I'd think of it. And I was like, I'm always a little worried when you get a game that's like an IP, right? You're kind of worried if is it like a cash grab or something like that. And I'm worried that, like, maybe the game itself isn't going to be really, you know, representative of, like, the feel of the game and what have you. For one, I'm really glad it is based on the first movie, which is, like, really the only movie that I pretend exists. You know, with Connor MacLeod and the Kurgan. So, you know, I like that. And the fact is that the card game is a quick little dueling card game where you don't really, you don't have to build a deck or anything like that. You're just gonna be drawing cards from a deck that you both share, and you're just gonna be trying to build, like, the best 5-card hand of different, like, power, like, attacks and defenses, and then you're gonna have at it really quickly, playing cards down, and then you know, people are gonna take some damage to the cards cards that are played, and then you're going to pick those up, and you're going to put those aside, and you're going to draw another 5-card hand. You're going to do the same thing, and you keep doing that until one person is killed, and then the game is over. It lasts about 15 minutes, which I think is the perfect amount of time for something like this. And I do like the fact that they've tried to stay true to the original artwork, and also the like, the feel of, like, the whole fact that these immortals are walking the earth and meeting and having these sword duels, you know, to try to determine, you know, who is the ultimate, the one. There can be only one, right? So there you go. Let me show you how the game is played. It shouldn't take very long at all, and then we'll come back here and we'll continue talking about Highlander, the Duel. Highlander is a 2-player game, and so I've set it up as a 2-player game. Each player will get either to play the Kurgan or Connor MacLeod, and then they're going to get, and these are, like, 3D printed beneath, so you might not be able to see exactly what this is, but you get the Kurgan. You can kind of see this little, like, spiky skull mask there, and of course, you know, Connor MacLeod with his big giant claymore or whatever. So, and then you're going to get those little miniatures to represent them, and then you get this miniature with the sword in the stone to represent who is the offensive player. The Kurgan player will start off as the offensive player, but after you do the first round of combat, the clash, if you will, that will switch to the other player. Both of these like, cards that represent Connor MacLeod and the Kurgan have ability 1 and ability 2. Ability 1 comes into play when they have 5 or more damage. Ability 2 comes in when they have 9 or more damage. Same over here with the Kurgan. And these are the exact same abilities, but they're just different as far as when they get them. The first ability is more of an offensive ability. The player, if you're the offensive player and you strike with a card with 1 attack position, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and that's the same ability that Connor MacLeod gets when he's at 9 damage. And then the defense ability that Connor has, if you're the defensive player and you block, deal 1 damage to your opponent. And then over here, it's the exact same thing. Deal 1 damage to your opponent. And I'll talk about what those strikes and blocks, whatever, mean here in just a second. But, so, usually, in the games that I played, we've almost always end up, like, pretty close. You know, nobody, like, runs away with the victory. And so, usually, both abilities get unlocked for both players. You know, it hasn't happened every single time, but for the most part, I think it evens out pretty well. Regardless, each player is going to get 2 cards dealt to them from this giant deck. The deck is used by both players. And then you take 2 cards and you put them face up like so. Each player will then take turns either taking a card from the top of the deck or taking one of the face-up cards that's available and then replacing it from the top. When you take a card that is available, you are giving the other player a little bit of information because they know which card you've taken. But you know, sometimes like the card is something that you really, really want, in which case then you're going to want to take it because it matches up well with some other cards you have, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. So after each person takes those cards, you're going to take this deck, you're going to put it off to the side. When you put it off to the side, just keep it handy because there are some abilities that get unlocked when you use these cards that are going to allow you to actually draw cards from the deck. Alright, so as I said, each player is going to have 5 of these cards, and I'm going to just show you what these look like here quickly. So each one of these cards is going to have some text here that's going to tell you some certain things that will happen. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But they have attack positions up here, and they have follow-up positions down here. Now, attack positions, if you're the attacking player, what you're going to want is you're going to want your attack positions to not match up with what the card the other player plays. If you're the defensive player, you're going to want those to match up with what the other person plays. The very first turn or round of the clash that you're going to have, you can play any card you want, but after that you're going to have to use these follow-up icons on the bottom. And so the next card you play is going to have at least one of these icons on them. So if I played this card first, I would have to find either a foot or a helmet in the attack position, and that is of course the left foot, if you will. And so that one I could play, but this one I can't because of the fact that it has 2 hands on there. This one I could because it has that foot, and that one I couldn't because of the fact that it doesn't. And so when you play these cards, you might be giving away some information to the other player as far as what the next card's icons are going to have. You have to be able to do that. If you can't, you take a point of damage and you can play any card you want. So when you play the card, let's just take one, and I'm not really looking at these, I'm just grabbing these and putting them down. When you take the cards, what you're going to do is you're going to flip them over, and then you're going to compare the cards. And in this situation, the Kurgan is going to look, and they're going to see that both of their icons, these 2 hands, are not blocked by the card that Connor McCall played. And this is going to be a successful strike. And for each one that chose, then he's going to do a point of damage. So in this case, Connor's going to take 2 points of damage. That's actually a very successful round. And so if you look here, and admittedly, yes, the artwork is the same as this. This is a prototype that I was sent, so just keep that in mind. So it's like if your opponent's if your opponent's next combat card this round includes this foot, attack position, deal 1 damage to the opponent. So if they have one, so that's going to limit what they have. That's actually, you get to have some information of what they're going to have. And then if your opponent's next combat card this round includes the helmet, deal 1 damage. So in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to put both of these down, like so. And we're going to take 2 points of damage, as Connor's going to take those 2. And that's actually pretty rough. And that's really lucky, because if we had played a card, let me just grab one here. Let's say we had played, another result would have been, let me actually show you this result. So if we had played these cards together, this is what's called a perfect block, because all of the attack icons match up with the defending icons, and in which case then you do a point of damage because of a perfect block. Now let me show you a different possibility here. Let's say this card was placed because that was one we had, and let's put this one back in the hand, and let's say we have this. So in this case we have this hand it isn't blocked, but this helmet is blocked. If only one of them is blocked, that's considered a successful block and no damage is done. So this one would have been, even though we didn't block all of the attack icons that the Kurgan had on their card, it would still be considered a successful block because we did block one of them. But as we said, that didn't happen. So let's go ahead and leave those cards out there like so. Now each person's got the 4 cards, and we have to do a follow-up icon. Now remember, if we put one with a helmet out there, we're going to take a point of damage because of the card that was played. But we have to play a card that has either the left foot or the helmet. And so now we're in that position where it's like, well, we can't play a helmet, and I don't even think we have a helmet card, which, you know, doesn't really come into it. But we have to play something with a left foot then. And since we're defending, we want to play something that has as many of these icons as possible. And the best one we have here is this. And this has the added ability of, if this clash result is a block, draw a card from the combat deck and discard a card. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that one down, and you put it face up, but you can't cover the bottom. You have to leave that available so the other player can see it and know what you're doing. So now, Kurgan's got the same deal. And remember, if they have, like, this foot, like the right foot, if you will, then they're going to take a point of damage. But they know that we're probably not, and they don't know that we don't, the Kurgan doesn't know that we don't have a card that has a helmet, but they know we're not going to play a card with a helmet, so we're going to be trying to, like, pick cards that are going to be hurt. So this one's got a helmet. They're not going to play a helmet, but we got to make sure we don't play one that has his foot because we're going to take a damage. So we're looking at these, and so we'd probably play this one, right? Because it's got the helmet and it's got this hand, and we're going to hope for the best. And so we're going to go ahead and we put that one down because and so we flip them over, and you can cover them and make sure that, like, you show that, like, you have the icon to match, and then you can just cover it up after that's done. And then you're going to show these. And so you can see, like, we had to follow up with a hand. We did follow up with a hand. And then we got the helmet. And we got this hand here. And we're going to see we had another super successful attack. And we're going to do another 2 points of damage. And right now, these are random cards we're drawing. And this is like, you know, like, if I was playing Connor McLeod, I'd be reeling at this point because of the fact that it's like, how is he doing this? You know, he's just picking exactly the cards that he needs to. But, you know, those cards or whatever can, like, because of the things that are on there, they can end up, you know, like, telegraphing certain moves and certain actions. So, all right, so I'm not going to do the whole round, but you play until you're down to 1 card. When you're down to 1 card, you take all the cards in the middle, you put them in a discard pile, and then you're going to go through the process of making a 5-card hand again. And in this case, then we go ahead and make Connor McLeod the offensive player, and we do it again. And that's going to go back and forth until one person reduced to no hit points. And as soon as that occurs, they have been slain, they have been decapitated, and the other person becomes they gain the prize. You know, as if you've watched the Highlander movie. But there you go. This is one of those games that, like, the rules are super straightforward and super simple, I guess, in a way, because of the fact that you're just looking at those icons, and you're not building a deck. You're just, like, drawing cards off the middle is something I really liked. But as you play the game and you kind of, like, have, like, kind of bluffing and, like, kind of trying to guess what the other person's doing, I really like trying to get into the other person's head and trying to determine, you know, what I thought that they thought that I thought that they thought I was going to do, that sort of thing. A lot of fun, but let me talk more about it in my final thoughts. Highlander, the Duel. So there you go. So, as I said, it isn't going to take you very long to learn how to play the game. You just got to match up the iconographies, right? And I mean, and admittedly, yes, you should pay attention to what the cards are saying underneath it. But I do think, and what I showed you playing is like that was really fast. I mean, I've had games like that before where one player takes a bunch of damage right away. But the thing is, you got to remember, when Connor McLeod takes like 5 or more damage, that's when his ability kicks in, where if he even is successful at a block, like any standard block, that's when he starts, like, doing damage 1 point of damage, 1 point of damage, 1 point of damage to the Kurgan. And so it kind of evens things out. So if you're worried about like that not feeling balanced or anything like that, trust me, it does, like, it seems the game is kind of geared towards making sure that, you don't have a runaway leader, and plus, it comes down to that last final clash where, one person's got 4 health, one person's got 2 health, and can they pull out that big win? Can they just pick those perfect cards? It really comes down to a lot of memory, too. You got to remember the cards that people are picking, and that's where a lot of the, like, being able to discard a card and draw a brand new card, put it in your hand, is really, really important. I don't have the best memory ever, but I do remember like seeing when they take certain cards. I have a house rule where if they take the card in the middle, I say, hey, let me see that card, and like I can kind of put it to memory a little bit, at least the text on the card, so I can kind of know if they have certain cards in their hand. I think that's only fair, right? Because the fact that like if you are playing with a game with somebody who has like really, really good memory of which things you have, being able to like, just be able to read it, okay, there, that card's in your hand, I'll try to remember that one and put it in the back of my head. And I think, as I said, that's a fair way to handle that. Now, as I said, the game plays fast, and I think a game like this should play fast. You don't want to be like slogging through, like a 45-minute, card duel. It isn't designed to be like this. This is designed to be like, hey, this is how you play the game. Let's go. Draw 5 cards, figure them out, battle it out. And I'm going to say flat out, I mean, obviously they could have, had this theme be anything. It could have been spaceships. It could have been like, pirates, like having a barroom brawl. It could have been gunfighters in the Old West. And theoretically, like they could, basically branch the mechanisms out into other IPs and things like that and kind of change with the cards or whatever. But I did really feel like the theme came through in this. I mean, it didn't feel like a pasted on like IP, which is something that I really, look for in games like this. I don't want to feel like it's a cash grab, and I don't feel like that at all. I think somebody had a really, really good dueling mechanism, and somebody really, really liked the Highlander movie, the first Highlander movie, and they were like, this would be perfect for it. Or maybe they were inspired by the Highlander movie and they made a game based around it. So ultimately, if you dig these small little card games, if you're looking for something you can bring with you to work, or and play somebody while you're eating your sandwich, this is something. If I was still working at my corporate job, this would be in my backpack full of games. I always would bring like 6, 7, 8 games in this backpack, and they would be kept, at my desk, and I would bring them down to the lunchroom every day. And I had friends that were there, and we'd sit down, and we'd have our lunch, and we'd play some games and just talk about our days. And this would definitely go in there. Also, I mean, obviously, this is a game that, like, if you're looking for a quick game that you can play while you're waiting for the big game to start, or if you're looking for a way to cool down after playing a big game, and there's just one last game before we pack it in for the night, highly, highly, highly recommended. So, there you go. If you have any questions about Highlander the Duel, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.